continual car for Chrysler R&D. Not only did they test at the racetrack, but they also tested on the street. This was, for all essential purposes, a factory-backed street racer. What was interesting, though, is that the engineers at Chrysler actually used the street racer, a fellow named Jimmy Addison, who managed a Sunoco store on Woodward Avenue. He had a history with street racing. He had a 62 Max wedge car that was dominant on the streets around Detroit. What they did is they gave him this car, but they didn't give it to him with a 440. They gave it to him with a Hemi. And not just a 426 Hemi, they actually stroked it out to 487 cubic inches. They gave him all of the lightweight panels that Chrysler had ever built, including hood, fenders, doors, trunk lid. They chopped out 500 pounds. They even gave him a set of 100 seats out of a van to make the thing super light. Car actually weighed about 3,200 pounds by the time it hit the street. Now, what does a street car run in street trim with mufflers? How about 1060 at 132 miles an hour? Don't believe it? Come with me.
Well, even though the car is a street legal car, you know this thing really belongs at the drag strip. As soon as you turn it on, you got the electric fuel pump. You've got the tax sitting on the dash. You've got a shift light in front of you. You've got a shifter that belongs in a race car. And you've got a set of seats that are out of a van to keep the weight down. This car was purpose-built to do one thing only: go straight and go fast. Now, in order to get the traction this car needed to run 1060s, they had to get a fairly big slick underneath. So what they did is they actually pulled the wheel wells out slightly to make room for the big slicks. As far as drivability, well, I wouldn't want to drive too far, but it is definitely street legal. One of the things that's hard to comprehend is this car is loud and it actually has 4 mufflers underneath me here trying to dull the noise. I can hardly wait to stand on it. All right, hang on.
Well, obviously the car still runs real hard. Even though some of the mechanicals have been slightly changed, today it runs a 475-inch motor instead of the 487-inch motor. Still has the original magnesium cross ram, has a few updates like the motor mount. It's got a solid mount in the front. The K-frame over the years has been twisted a few too many times, isn't strong enough today to handle the power. Well, the rest of the restoration doesn't look like a race car, it looks like a show car. All the original fiberglass beautifully restored. Panels line up as well as you want fiberglass to line up. Looks nice and original. The paintwork, beautiful. Sanded and polished, done properly, in the door jambs, in the trunk. What's interesting is if you look in the trunk, though, it's not silver. Remember, this car originally left the factory blue? Well, that's how it was restored, with a blue inside the trunk, just the way the car left the factory or the way the car was street raced. Down to the Cragar SS wheels. It's been a few years since we've had a car on the show with a set of Cragars. The interior, the A100 van seats, completely restored. Try and find upholstery for a van these days. The rest of the interior, all the dash, all the gauges, nicely done. There's been a few additions as far as the shifter and a couple of add-on gauges. That's just to make sure that the motor's working properly. Have a look under the car, look at the exhaust. Those 4 original Cadillac-style mufflers, they're still. Now, they've all been jet-hot coated so they don't rust, but the original look is like it was back in 1967 when this car ran on the street. Now, as far as value, the value isn't in the fact that it was a 440 Super Commando with somebody stuffing in a Hemi motor. The fact of the matter is, the value in this car is it was the only time in history that really a big corporation like Chrysler backed somebody like a street racer on the street. So what's the value of this car? Dubbed the Silver Bullet in 1971 by Carcraft? Well, we know it's north of $100,000. How far north? That's up to the buyer and the seller.